I'm going to share my screen so we can go through the application together. And Tony will also be here to help with questions from Social Enterprise Greenhouse. And so if anybody does have any questions, we can take those as well. So first of all, to apply for this program, all you have to do is go to CommerceRI.com. And the application is actually right here under the remote work and tech support for businesses. And so you just click on there, and here are just some of the brief outline, but a lot of the explanation of this grant is within the application itself. And so there's a whole lot of very small writing in here, but we do recommend reviewing because it's very specific to certain types of businesses and what we can do with this funding. So it's pretty simple here. Before you apply, you can also download a PDF version in either in English or Spanish and read and review to see what you need to apply. This part here, these are just those very small words that tell you exactly what we can do and we can't do. We are approved to give up to $2,500 per employee within this grant program to help them get to remote work with a max of $50,000 per business. And so that's the one thing within here that we have the scope to do. And so that does cover quite a bit of technology, software, and other needs. The one thing with this grant, we aren't allowed to provide a check directly to our grantees. And so it has to be an in-kind gift of technology or support. And so we are doing this two different ways. The first is at District Hall, we are working with tech companies within the state, whether it's the tech company that your business uses or one that we connect you with, to pay them to actually help you to figure out what technology they need or you need and what we should implement. And then they bill us and they'll actually complete the service for you and help you get exactly what you want. The other way is Social Enterprise Greenhouse has developed a relationship with Staples, and I can let Tony explain a little bit how they're also deploying the different resources to businesses.
Yeah, on the Social Enterprise Greenhouse side, we've negotiated some discounts with retail partners, and through them, we will be awarding vouchers for laptop kits. Each laptop kit includes, depending on the kind of laptop, may include a headset and certain pieces of office software, also printers and Wi-Fi routers, and other hardware is TBD in terms of the kits.
Yes. This next page is, again, a whole lot of the explanation about who can apply and what we can cover. The biggest thing is we are right now approved to only provide services to businesses that have 2 to 100 employees total. Within that includes only full or part-time year-round employees. So we are not able to account for seasonal employees within that number. For the good or for some people that is less money they can get. For some people it actually qualifies them and doesn't disqualify. So seasonal or temporary workers we are not including within the 2 to 10. And so that's the number one screening criteria. We also, unlike other CARES Act funding, this is very much focused at the health and safety of you and your employees. And so a lot of things that are typically been excluded or things that we have to make sure the business qualifies for aren't exactly as important right now. Our goal for this is to make sure that we can get as many people working from home and out of contact of others as possible. And so that's the one thing as you're filling out this application that you really want to consider is how will this help me to keep my employees and myself safe over the next few months.
If I can just add to that, Ashley, if you don't mind. So, I mean,
Sure.
one way that might be helpful to think of it is, okay, without this technology, what percent, think of each employee and ask yourself, what percent of their work can be remote today without the technology? And then ask yourself, what percent of their work can be remote with this technology? So think of the before and the after. And our objective is to increase that percent of your employees' time that can be spent working remotely versus in the office.
Yes. And so this is just the basic application questions that we typically get, so that we have your contact information, your business name. Please make sure to put in, if you have a legal name, the one thing we have to do is to make sure that you're in good standing with the state. And that's either through a Secretary of State lookup, or working with the town if you've had a register through the town. And so having the exact name that you're registered with helps a lot for us. And this is just choosing what type of business. These are the types of businesses that we are approved to work with. Nonprofits also include the 501c3 and 501c6. Right now, we are not accepting applications from schools or educational institutions, mainly because this is very much to target commerce and not education. We're hoping and we're advocating and passing those along to others within the state to talk to the education and departments and Rhode to see if they can help in another way. But right now, we can't approve that. You just want to give a quick explanation of your business and what it does, just so we understand, as well as your address and any other type of information that we need on here. It's very important that we're making sure to give an equal share to businesses around the state so that everybody has a chance. And so we're really looking at zip code. The EIN number, that's again, just helps us to make sure that you're in good standing with the state and with taxes and things like that. The DUNS number is one that I want to spend a little time on. A lot of businesses have never needed a DUNS number. A DUNS number is a number that helps when you have a government contract. So if you don't have one, that is okay. Just put no, and then you can actually go and apply for one, which is very simple. And so you can go ahead and do that. Your NAICS code, again, you can look up right here by the type of business you have. It's usually about a 5-digit number, and filling that in. There's a secondary one. Some businesses do more than one thing and fall under multiple NAICS codes. So just including both of those on there. These next few questions actually apply to how we're deploying the equipment. And so because we can't just pay you directly to purchase your own equipment, if you have an IT person, we ask for their name, particularly if you're working with a district hall team. We would much rather continue to work directly with your IT person than set you up with somebody new. It'll be much better for you and for your company to work with somebody you know and trust. And so please write their name in if you have one. If you don't, that's okay. And you still need if you need more than technology, we can set you up with somebody who can help with that as well. We also want to make sure that if you've worked with either District Hall or Social Enterprise Greenhouse, that we are continuing to work with you. We don't, it's hard when there's a lot of different people who are coming into the picture. So if you have an existing relationship with one of us or any of these others, please just click it in there and then we'll know who we should forward your application to and who can help you throughout the process if you need any. The background in the business owned, led by a person of color, woman, veteran, low to moderate income, individual with a disability. It doesn't disqualify you if you do not qualify under those, but we are hoping to serve people in these categories, at least 20% of our grant awardees. So if you do qualify, please click, but if you don't, it won't disqualify you, and there's still a considerable amount of funding that we can use to help you. Again, here, this is just for the CARES Act funding so that we have some kind of tracking. In other grants, it has disqualified you if you receive these or if you had a considerable amount of money. Because this grant is different and it's completely based on safety, we are not excluding anybody for having other funding come in. We understand that most of this funding probably has been spent, whether it was to keep your employees on payroll or to help keep your doors open or whatever you need. So it's just a tracking system for us as we report to the federal government about the CARES Act money. Again, here's just another way for us to know if you've worked with any of our services and that we can continue to help you through that program so that we're not moving you from one program to another. The one thing with the CARES Act money is, although this is about safety, we do have to show that your business has been harmed in some way by the pandemic, because that's what the CARES Act stipulation is. But I can honestly say I don't know any business out there that hasn't had to do something. And so I like to say that most people have lost either clients or have had to shut down or lost revenue. But even if you haven't had to do those things, or you're a new business and those haven't occurred, you probably have had increased operating expenses. Have you had to buy extra soap or hand sanitizer? Have you had to make provisions or move your office or your equipment around? Anything that would say, yes, we've had to change our operations because of the pandemic qualifies for you to be in one of these four. And as long as one of them are checked, we are able to process your application. And then if you did lose any revenue, you can put that right here in this column as well, which is again a tracking measure for us. This grant, as I mentioned, is based on the amount of employees you have and who need services. And so our goal is 100% remote, but we understand that's not always feasible. And so we just want to know how many employees in this form are going to be 100% remote. And you'll have another opportunity to put the others who aren't 100% remote but still apply for funding. So if you have 10 employees and you're able to get 5 100% remote, you can just fill that in there. Or I'm sorry, this question is how many are already. So you might not have any, but you want to be able to get 5 100% remote. And the other, say 5, can only be 70%. That's okay. There'll be a place for you to put that. We know sometimes we do have to make hard decisions if we get a lot of applicants and not everybody is able to get the resources. So we really had to look at who's safe within this. And so we want to know how big your office is. And so things specifically, I like to really use examples of maybe restaurant offices or manufacturing offices where your facilities are quite large, but your actual office where you have people are very small. So maybe your office is only 200 square feet and you have 4 administrative assistants or managers within that, even though your facility is much larger. That's really we want to know, because that is how we found there's more safety issues with those small confined spaces, and we want to help address that. And then too, sometimes people have multiple locations, so just understanding the locations in Rhode Island. And again, there's even more example of how you can go ahead and explain your office. And so please put those details. We're a restaurant. We have a 3,000 square foot restaurant, but we have 2 owners and 2 managers who have to share a 200 square foot office. And we'd like to get 2 of those people or 3 of those people home at all times so that they don't have to be there with one another. And so that's some of the things that we would like to know. And then also the next question in the last one on this page is anybody within any of your employees, are they at added risk? And you don't have to tell us what that means, but just how many people are at risk, just a number works. And so if you have people who are a little older in age, or have they or their family members have a health condition that would really put them at risk, this helps us if, like I mentioned, if we get a lot of applicants and we can't approve all, we might at least be able to approve for those that are higher risk. If we can't give 100% to your business, at least we can help those that might be more at risk at contracting the virus. Within this grant, we can supply quite a bit, and we can help you to do quite a bit. And so it's really understanding what you need. I really recommend, if you do work with a third-party IT provider, please contact them. They can help you to fill this out to the best of their knowledge. If there's somebody in-house, they're probably the best person to fill it out. But if you don't worry about it. We do have people who can help you to get what you need even after the fact. And so this explains like what you have for your business right now. And the types of technology, a lot of times we're seeing people right now have desktops, and so they can't go remote, or they have an in-house server and it's not cloud-based. Things like that exclude you from being able to send your employees and home and allow them to work from home. So we want to know those things. In addition to providing software, hardware, and hotspots for internet, we are also approved to help any type of phone technology systems. We can't provide cell phones, but we are allowed to provide like a cloud-based phone system or some type of telephony solution that can help so that if you have a call coming into your business, they can be redirected to your employees at home. And then these here are just very much explaining to us how you're going to use the technology today and into the future to help your business. And so when I'm talking, we've received a lot of calls and a lot of questions. And as I'm talking to businesses, I really encourage them to use this not just for now, but to think about how they can really pivot their business into the future. We know working with so many businesses in our tech support program over the last 8 months that this has probably forever changed us. And so making sure that you're thinking just beyond today about how you can use that. So if it is getting yourself on a cloud system or a VPN, making sure that you have the right cybersecurity and firewalls, that can all be covered within this funding. And so talking to somebody to help understand really what you need besides, the computer technology and the laptops. The other thing too is when you're filling this out and you're talking about what you need, although we can approve 2,500 per employee, it might not be used exactly that much for each employee. So we'll give you a base amount, and if the VPN system, for example, is more than that, that's okay. Like we can work it out so it doesn't have to be exactly that amount on each employee, that as long as it's covering the goals of the program and getting people home safe, we're able to work with you within our parameters. Lastly, as I mentioned before, within the application, it asks how many people can get 100% remote. We also want to hear about other employees and their needs and help us to understand who we're serving. Again, as we're making decisions and helping businesses to be successful with this, we want to know what is going on now and how we can help them in the future. So here are 2 different types of spreadsheets, and we're calling them impact reports. You'll need to download these, whether it's through Excel or through Google. Download it, fill it out, and then email it to, it is riremotework@gmail.com. And what we've been doing is then uploading those into your application so that we can track those. And this sheet is actually the most important. So if you've applied and you have not heard back, this might be holding us up. And if we don't get it, we will reach out. But I think some people are confused, particularly if you've only need 2 different things. For the same type of employee, it seems repetitious, but this sheets actually helps us to track a little easier and provides the data that we need, and also the data then we can forward on to somebody else who may be helping you as well. And so the remote work website or email address is right below there. And then lastly, these here are the legalese questions, I guess is the best way to put it. These are things that with the CARES Act money that we are required to ask of everybody. And if you're interested, the answers and obviously need to be truthful, and you're going to have to attest to that and later sign a contract before we can provide the actual funding for this. However, you have to answer yes to every one of them to qualify. And so some of the questions are asked oddly, I guess is the best way to put it. And so it seems like the question should be no. So I use this one quite often, the 4th one down, that says the applicant has not been disbarred, suspended, etc. From any agency. You want to say no, I haven't. But how the question is worded is has not been, meaning yes, I've never been. And so that's one of the things that we're actually having to reach out a lot of times about because of how the questions are worded. And I keep saying that we've had a number of law firms and attorneys fill this out wrong. So don't feel bad if you were not the only one. And I said, I probably would have answered the same way. And if our attorneys are reading these wrong, they're pretty hard to understand. And so don't worry too much about it, but it is important just to say yes to these. And as long as that's truthful. And so once you are able to submit this, it will, you'll see you'll get the confirmation email, and then just fill out your Excel or Google Docs sheet and send that in, and you will be all set. The next step is you will either hear from myself or Tony, and we will say, here's what we're going to have you do, and give you those directions for the next steps and work with you from there. And so, yeah, that's the gist of everything we are doing. If we don't have any questions, thank you all for joining us. And again, please reach out, and I hope you can apply.